you know, we won the league on a Tuesday a few weeks ago. We all were out at the Emirates. We was all out on the Sunday. Obviously, we've had the parade. Now, me and you have spoken about it on both our platforms. But for you, has it sunk in now that we're Premier League champions? And if it has or hasn't, what are you saying?
Yeah, when we won it on a Tuesday night, the celebrations are unreal, but I don't think it did sink in for me until we lifted the trophy.
Yeah.
When we lifted the trophy, I felt like, it's ours now. We can celebrate it. What I will say is, I think it was weird having the Champions League final after it as well, because you could celebrate and then you think, well, do we celebrate again? Like we
You
could
got one
be.
eye on that and that, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, it was even harder to then allow it to settle in because you're moving on quickly to Champions League. But to have the parade after that, I think that was then the kind of everybody knew that we were the champions. And although it was a little bit of a dampener losing that Champions League final, I think it's probably the best pick me up, really, because you've got that trophy in your hands. You're seeing the players celebrate, the fans turn out. Yeah, insane, man. It's been an insane 3 weeks. I don't think I've had throughout it because I had, like, the first night we won on the Tuesday, I wasn't well the next day, and I thought must just be a hangover or something. But I think I must have caught some cold or flu or something, because if I'm honest with you, it's been 3 weeks of losing my voice, not being 100% well, then getting back into the game, then celebrating again. I just feel like I need a proper rest and a proper break now, bro. So sorry, I don't know if I cut off there if my Wi-Fi went or if it was you, but I think I'm back now, man. But can you hear me okay?
No,
Yeah?
I think you was good on my end, man. And you said it there, and it made me think. Like, obviously, the last time we linked up, I was on your platform, and we're both struggling to speak in it. Like, you know, when you've been shouting and losing your voice,
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't say it hurts to speak, but it hurts to speak. So it's nice that we're both kind of normal and things of that ilk, man. I don't want to put a dampener on it, but you alluded to it, yeah. And obviously, the last time I was on your platform, we didn't have the Champions League final. What did you make of it? Because for me, the long and short of it is we lost to the European champions on penalties. I know people will get at our approach potentially. Was never going to make it a shootout. Arteta was never going to change his tactics. I feel defensively it worked. You know my thoughts, Dan, in how I feel about us attacking, and I think there was more to give in that game. Fine margins went against us. Obviously, Mascara gave the penalty away. It goes to pens. It's a draw of the dice. As you alluded to as well, it's I wouldn't say it's a temporary downer, but you are down. It's a gutting way to lose a final, and then the next day you got a parade. But like, yeah, man, take me back to the Champions League final, man.
Yeah, I don't think that we can be too fussy about saying stuff like we scored too early, the game plan weren't able to be put out because we scored early. What was you not celebrating when we scored? Was you like, oh, that's a shame, that's gone in? I wish it didn't. Come on, man. Like,
Trust
what are
me.
we doing here? Like, we could have gone 2-0 up with Kai Havertz. I think he should have done better, if I'm honest. I think it's a good bit of defending and a good block from Marquinhos, but at the same time, Havertz got to be quicker with that. He's given him that kind of opportunity. And once he's got that opportunity, you give him a sniff, he's probably going to win. Marquinhos is a decent centre-half. So I think we should have gone 2-0 up, if I'm honest with you. You can also look at the chances that they created. David Raya saved us a couple of times. Barcola was wasteful a couple of times. Yeah. So I don't think it's been much to. I think people have gone too deep into it, is what I'm getting at. I think we went 1-0 up and we did try and see it out. We had an opportunity to make it 2. If we would have made it 2, Arteta's a genius. Arsenal are a masterclass at defending, and Arsenal have won the Champions League. So that's what fine margins are. You can also say it's even thinner margins by saying that if we win a penalty shootout, we're champions. So I do think I feel so much for Gabriel because he was the best player on the night.
Bleeds, man.
You know, and he skied his penalty. Not that it's affected him too much, hopefully, but he was easily the best player alongside Nketiah. I don't like penalty takers who do run-ups and stutter. And I love Eze, but I don't get why people do that. Apparently, that's his thing, and he's scored before and he's missed before. I also don't really hear for the Noni Madueke Zubamendi shouts, because for me, Noni Madueke took a penalty and missed against Portsmouth, and Zubamendi, let's be real, I've never seen him take one. So I don't think you can sit there and say, why is Gabriel taking one? What a disgrace. Gabriel, he's put one top bins before, so not for Arsenal, but in club and country, he's done that from what I understand. So I don't really think it's a mad thing. I think it's one of those where you've lost the penalty shootout. I think we should have been more aggressive to try and get the second after Havertz. But that's my only kind of...
a lot better with the ball in the second half as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's a mad thing, man. They're a great side. I think people have made out like Arsenal how have Arsenal not beaten Wigan in this Champions League final? This is PSG, man. It's not Wigan. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a very tough opponent. So when we went 1-0 up, I knew what the game plan would be. I didn't agree with it, but I knew it would be that. It didn't shock me. And when you do that, you're basically praying that there's no mistakes. And if we don't make a mistake, then we win 1-0. Mascara, I thought, was excellent on the night up until that penalty incident. And down that left-hand side with Nuno Mendes and Kvaratskhelia, it's tough, bro. It's tough. And he's got done. It's a bad challenge. He should have just let him go. And he knows that now. He's young. But
he'll learn.
Yeah, he will learn and will learn as well from that, by the way. There'll be a lot of hunger to go and do it again next year, man. A lot of fight and a lot of revenge wanted, particularly with PSG, who've beaten us twice now. You know, like with Bayern Munich's and Barcelona's of the last 2 decades who have beaten us in these games. PSG can be added to that now. And what would be brilliant for me is to beat all 3 on the way to winning the Champions League, because a lot of people can say that we've had an easier draw. I don't really care because you beat the teams in front of you, but they are right to say that it was the easier side of the draw. If we could go beat Barcelona, Bayern Munich and PSG in the quarter, semis and final, that would be an absolute dream of mine, man, just to have them all, just get revenge on all 3.
Facts. And it's harsh, man, because obviously we've had an unbeaten run to the Champions League, so we've technically not lost the game, but we've lost the game. Ultimately, we haven't got the big ears, and it would have been the icing on top of the cake, innit? If I'm honest with you, so that's the annoying thing. I disagree with the whole easy draw thing. I understand it's an easier draw, but what do people want Arsenal Football Club to do? That's the whole point of taking the league phase seriously. Like I've said it on your platform, there's been a couple of times in the last 2 years, maybe not so much the season that has gone, but definitely the year before, when I was sat on your platform, I was like, oh, we've battered PSV or whoever it was. Why is Magalhaes and Saliba out there? But I get it now. You handle business, you deal with the business, you go and get that. And to be devil's advocate, obviously on paper, the Chelseas, the Liverpools, you'd rather not play them. You would rather play Sporting and Leverkusen, to the greatest of respect. But anyone that's been paying attention in the Premier League, bro, Chelsea is food. Liverpool are food. So you could say that's an easy draw. End of the day, you just have to go out there and win it. I agree with what you said in that it gave us food for thought, yeah. And I must admit, Paul Merson and what you just said there, yeah, have changed my mind on the penalty takers, because I look at the penalty takers on a weird one, innit? For me, it's penalties can get missed, innit? I rate anybody who steps up. So on one hand, I did think, Zubimendi, this is why I'm saying I think you changed my thoughts, because Zubimendi, you're a midfielder. Noni, you're an attacker. I think you'll always have to step up. Zubimendi, potentially, you might have to take a penalty for Spain. Noni, the same for England. Noni, I've seen you try to fight people at Chelsea. So I was thinking, why aren't you lot doing it? But then I thought to myself, it can't, and then I thought to myself, do you know what? If these are the guys that look good in training, if these are the ones that were confident to step up, I'd rather that. End of the day, Magalhaes missed. That will hurt him. I've seen Ronaldo miss a penalty. You've seen many a player miss a penalty. Terry, he had a good game, so it overshadows it. And it's like you said, it's just fine margins. It's just food for thought. I don't know how you look at it, yeah, but I feel obviously in an attacking sense, there's bare evolution we could do in the Premier League. I think what we've done in the Premier League is shown it's sustainable because we've got over the line. The Champions League, it showed me we can get to a point. I like the defensive aspect. I like shutting up shop. I like kind of stifling PSG. But I do think there's a bit more to give from the attackers, whether that's with Arteta giving them the freedom, and we might be a bit susceptible and open, but we might be able to harm them is another thing. Maybe I've said this to you before. Maybe the players could take more responsibility. Ultimately, it was a step too far, man. You kind of touched on it, yeah. Like, Dan, you ain't got a crystal ball in it, but like, do you think we'll be in the Champions League final? Because I only asked that because obviously you can see we've got to a quarters, we've got to a semis, we've got to a final. So on one hand, there's a trajectory. But then I also think, sometimes in Europe, you have to seize the presence, if that makes sense. Like that might just be your moment. I'm not saying we're never going to be there again, but I look at the 2 sides Chelsea have won the Champions League with. They weren't really good like that. And there's several others and I just have in my mind that, because I said this to you on the stream, it's like for me, way before we was in the final, I just see this is PSG's period of dominance, bro. So they've won it twice. I just have in my mind they're playing Barcelona in that final next year. Like, how do you feel about, do you think we'll be in the final next year? Obviously, you're not a fortune teller. Or do you think that was our opportunity? Yeah.
I don't think it's the only opportunity we're going to get with this squad. I do think it's the best opportunity we've had to win the Champions League since we last got to that final, because we have been close other times when we got to semi-finals or quarterfinals where you think, I think we can go all the way, even under Wenger. You always have that kind of hope. But I think this is the only time I've had belief we could win it was this season. I think 2006 there was belief, but we knew we were coming up against an unbelievable Barcelona side.
Fairy tale type of thing.
It was. And this side is a brilliant side in PSG. And I think Arsenal are going to be there or thereabouts again. I don't know what's going to happen in the transfer window for any of these teams, but right now, the way I look at it is Arsenal are one of three that are favourites to win it alongside Bayern Munich and PSG. You can never write off Real Madrid or Barcelona. You can never write off teams that look good in the transfer market. But right now, I think where the summer window has not really started, I think Arsenal are there or thereabouts and one of the best in Europe alongside the likes of Bayern Munich and PSG. And I know that we play differently, but we are the best at what we do. Now, I think next season you might see Mikel Arteta taking the shackles off a little bit more, because I do believe personally that Pep Guardiola was a huge, huge reason as to why we play like we do. Because Mikel Arteta, he played like Pep Guardiola at times and unfortunately didn't get across the line. So now that he's changed his ways to get us across that line, and he's done it, people think that he's just going to keep doing that for the next 5-6 years. I don't think he will now that Pep Guardiola's gone out of the league, because I don't see how he plays that football and comes up against a Maresca or a Carrick or a Alonso or a Iraola and gets done over like Pep Guardiola. None of those managers are Pep Guardiola, albeit good managers. They're not Pep Guardiola.
They're not generational, with the greatest respect.
Yeah, and I think if he is going to stay by a brand of football, it probably will be the Champions League, because you can play like that in the Champions League because it's a knockout competition. Make it difficult for them to knock you out. You go through. It's quite simple. So I think when you play like it in the league, it's a little bit risky, because the league games, anyone can beat anybody. I think in the Champions League, you're going to find it very, very hard if you come up against a low block, because these teams are not really as used to it. I know people think that in these leagues, they all play like that. They don't. They've not got the quality like in these leagues. Like Bayern Munich.
9 times out of 10, they break these sides down week in, week out.
They just break them down easily, right? So even with low blocks, they're not got the quality. So with Arsenal, teams that have played against a low block, it's become quite difficult. So and half those teams that we're trying to take off are all in Europe. Like half of our league, you have to basically get into the top half of the Premier League. You get given Europe. I don't really know any other league.
Nasty and competitive, bro.
Horrible, our league. Horrible. I don't think it's as good as the 90s or the 2000s, but it's certainly more competitive or most competitive than it ever has been. I don't really know a season where anyone can beat anyone. Like, I know Wolves went down this season. I hated playing Wolves home and away this season. That was one of our hardest fixtures home and away.
Every away game makes you feel a bit, you don't know how it's going to go apart from Spurs.
You hate playing away to any of these teams because you know what you're going to get. And sometimes our home form has let us down against the likes of Bournemouth over the years. Yeah. So I feel it's a difficult time. And I think that's why PSG have had the best run, because they don't have what we have. They just don't have what we have domestically.
They get to rest players, and let's be honest, like the PSG, I'm not disrespecting the French league. I know they want to win it, they want to dominate it, they want to do everything. Everything PSG do is geared towards winning the Champions League. You've got a generational gaffer, Luis Enrique. We'll be here all day talking about their players. You look at the minutes our players played and the starts, even our injured players have had in the Premier League versus their league. It's not to moan, it's just me and Dan are being obvious, and you lot in the chat, this is exactly what you see. So we are kind of against it. And obviously in the Champions League, it's a weird one because I don't know if you saw but I'm paraphrasing. Pep Guardiola spoke about it. It's like everything kind of needs to go for you. And I do feel I echo those thoughts, because I think I genuinely believe, Dan, obviously you spoke about the champs, so did I. But I genuinely think if we arrived in the Champions League with a Saka in his best form and a couple of other players beyond the obvious, it might have been a different story. But those are all ifs and buts, if I'm honest with you, man. It's a weird one, man. I think I make you right in that I'm not saying Arsenal's the best team in the world, but we're one of the best sides in Europe. We're clearly the best team in the Premier League, or have been one of the top 2 in the last few years. So we've got a real big period of doing anything. That's something I wanted to ask you as well, Dan. Like, obviously, there's people doing the agendas. We've won the league. People have been itching to get back at Arsenal. Like, do you feel not winning the Champions League in any way discredits the Premier League or kind of paints a bad kind of season? Because in August, obviously, you want to win everything. But the whole talk was Arsenal need to get over the line in something. We need to get over the line in something. If you offered us a Premier League and a Champions League final without context, and actually a League Cup final, we would have had it. So, yeah, man, what do you make of that?
Yeah, no, it doesn't discredit it, man. The rivals will try to make out that it does, because that's all they can hold of. That's all they can keep hold of. They're
reaching.
Let's just tell them that they lost the Champions League final, so now it doesn't matter. The Premier League's asterisk, it's squashed. Premier League didn't really happen. Like, it's a madness. I've never heard that one before. I know teams have gone to Champions League finals and not won it before, and I don't really remember anybody getting the hate that they did when they lost that final. Manchester City, it was more banter because it was against Chelsea. Chelsea lost to Manchester United. It was about bantering John Terry. but there wasn't really any of this kind of. Maybe it's because social media wasn't as valid there. Manchester United did it against Barcelona. I don't really remember the amount of hate that they were getting for it, but what I will say is that it means that they don't like what we're doing. They all liked Arsenal when they played
liked
pretty
us when we were
football,
shit.
1-0. Yeah, exactly. And now that now that we're finding a way to win, they don't like it. Somebody said something great on Talksport. They don't hate that we're winning. They hate the way we're winning. And they get frustrated by the fact that we're winning 1-0s and set pieces and corners. Now, when we beat a
Fuck your
Leeds by 4
entertainment.
or 5, or a Spurs by 4 or 5, they don't mention that. You know, that was everyone beating them 4 or 5, but then you're back to 1-0 again, 1-0 again, 1-0 again. So they don't really, they're a bit all over the place, these rivals, if I'm honest with you. And let's be real, none of them can talk to us because Manchester City are the only team
They will
that have
die to be
won
where we are.
another 2 trophies this season. Chelsea are in a mess. Manchester United played 1 game a week and lost to Grimsby. You've got Liverpool who spent 500 M's and can't get into Champions League convincingly. You've got Aston Villa, who probably are the only ones that aren't talking to us because they know and have belief and respect that can't really talk to Arsenal. We just concentrate on what we're doing.
And like them, they're winning stuff. Winners focus
we're
on
happy.
winning.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't really think anyone can talk to us, bruv. Spurs definitely can't. West Ham are down. I mean, it's just it's embarrassment, really. And I feel for them because they've had to have their season being, let's try and laugh at Arsenal, who are the Premier League champions. Very odd bunch. Very odd.
I'll take it. All the PGMOL crap that they say, everything they've got to say, give it to us, innit? Because one thing you're not going to do is gaslight Arsenal fans. Because for years, we're telling you about referees. We've been telling you about injuries. When we played beautiful football, you had something to say. The goalposts will always move, innit? Dan, you've watched football long enough, like myself. There was better managers than Mikel Arteta and better sides than even Arsenal sides, better than this current side, that they moved the goalposts. I've seen them do it with the Invincibles. I've seen them do it with Wenger, with Jose, so on and so forth. So this is what comes with it. I would say, and I'm appealing to a section of Arsenal fans, is don't think we could win 3 Champions Leagues on the trot. We could win a Premier League and people are still going to have something to say. If they're not talking, we're doing something wrong. As Dan said, it's the way we're playing. Obviously, we all want to see more attacking football, but the defensive elements, why would we not keep doing something we're good at? You know, the ball is in play in the Premier League less on record and it's got declining year in, year out. Set pieces are up, but everybody focuses on Arsenal. Why? Because we're better than other people. Chelsea, like Arsenal, have actually, statistically benefited this season a lot from a lot of VAR decisions. But if you look in the last 3 years, we're not in the top 4 for VAR decisions. And if the decisions were right, there's also tables that show you Arsenal will still be top. Moral of the story, agendas are going to agenda. A lot of people get more highs of seeing my football club fail than their football club. It says it all, if I'm completely honest. You touched on something lightly there, Dan, yeah? And I wanted to ask you, like, obviously, you ain't got a crystal ball. It's early, it's June, basically. We don't know what the next season is going to have in it. But I am filled with excitement for the Premier League next season and also a bit of nervousness. And I'll tell you why. Because I feel we've got stability. We've obviously got Mikel Arteta on top of stability. We've got a good 11. There's a lot of things that we've done that other teams need to do in it. I think Carrick's done all right. But as you said there, it's very different. He wasn't even there for the whole 40 games. It's different playing in 4 competitions a week and seeing what they're doing. Maresca's a good coach. I don't know what City are going to look like. I don't know what Liverpool, as much as I like Areola, so on and so forth. Even Spurs with De Zerbi. So it's like they still need to get their ships in order. We've got a bit of stability. Like, that fills me with confidence that we can retain it. But then obviously there's still the element of the unknown. I don't know what Xabi Alonso is going to look like at Chelsea, etc. Like, how are you, as much as you can in June, like, how are you looking at the rivals versus our prospects of retaining the Prem, bro?
Yeah, we're in the most advantageous position we've ever been at the start of a season. Yeah. No more Pep Guardiola. I don't know what Maresca is going to do, but Pep finished 7 points behind us. If Maresca can replicate that, he's done well, in my opinion, because I don't think he's on the same level as Pep. I think Areola is going to play unbelievable football with Liverpool, but I don't know if it's going to be this current season. I do think he'll play better than what slot. So Liverpool, a little bit of an unknown. Michael Carrick's an unknown because they're going to bring players in and have 4 competitions now, not just the one in the Premier League. And then you've got the likes of Chelsea, who I think look an absolute mess. And even Xabi Alonso at his best, I don't think can get that Chelsea team.
Me of Alonso, Arteta 2019 Alonso.
Exactly. So I don't think there's anyone. I've got to be honest with you. It sounds arrogant, but I don't think there's anyone I'm scared of. There might be a team that surprises. You might get a new Emery Aston Villa side that looks like it's getting close. You might get a Michael Carrick Man United side that has an unbelievable summer, and you think, whoa, what's happening here? But I think you've got so many teams that have a question mark alongside them. Mikel Arteta is the only manager that's won the Premier League now in the whole of the 20 clubs. So
Surreal
this
to
is a
say,
very,
you know.
very sort of inexperienced young Premier League at the moment. So I don't see any shocks. I don't see a Spurs bouncing back or a Newcastle bouncing back. I don't see a Bournemouth or Brentford or Brighton going to that next level into the Champions League. So right now, as things stand, I think Arsenal are favourites, massive favourites, and I don't really see anyone that I'm massively fearing. That doesn't mean that no one's going to get near us, because I think it will be tight. And I think that Man City and Liverpool will definitely be close, and United, I think, will as well. But I think people have got to understand that going through a title race and a title challenge, they're both very different things, really. Like, it doesn't
Exactly.
really start until the new year. So you can't really tell who's going to be in the title race till the new year, because Villa in the first 6 games of the season just gone were bottom of the league without scoring a goal. And they ended up getting themselves into a brilliant position and winning the Europa League and getting Champions League. So I think you've
Facts.
got to look at it through January onwards. Get to about March, April. Let's look at who you think is going to be in that title run, and then who you think is going to challenge. And then let's see who goes down to the title race in April, May. That's the way I look at it each season. The rest of the time is just biding your time, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I look at who's available now management-wise. I don't look at any of their managers and go, I want to come against him. He's unreal. And I've got a lot of respect for Mariola. I've got a lot of time and
Bad boy
understanding of what
manager.
Alonso did. But Maresca, I wasn't massively impressed at Chelsea. He looked okay. He won
Same.
trophy there. But I didn't look at him and go, I'll tell you what, Pep Guardiola's good. But when he moves along, that Maresca's ready, man. He's taking that City to win trophies
I'd
now.
be more scared if they had Arteta or company.
Yeah, I would. I'd be more upset. I'd be more fearful if anybody appointed Ancelotti, Enrique, Conte,
Them kind
Simeone,
of man.
any of those. I'd be more like, oh shit, they know what they're doing. They've been there and done it. But these guys haven't. They're up and coming. Out of all of them, I think the best appointment is Iriola. I'll be honest. I think it is.
I'm scared of, you know what? I wouldn't say scared, yeah, but I just feel he's, you know, I want to be respectful to Slot in it. I didn't rate him, but end of the day, you won a Premier League. You won a Premier League for Liverpool Football Club, which as a 31-year-old man, haven't seen them do that too many times. And the post-Klopp era, that's history, right? But I just think Ariola's a very good tactician. How many players have Bournemouth lost? He's got them playing great football, and I just think Liverpool need competencies in it. Obviously, recruitment. They probably need a midfielder, need a couple of defensive additions. I know their fans want some wingers, but I think he'll be good news for them. But this is all theoretical. I haven't seen it in place, innit? So then, like, a bit of a twofold question, yeah. Do you see the teams like Chelsea and not really Spurs, but Chelsea and Spurs, the teams that haven't got Europe, like, do you kind of fear them and what they're gonna say? And if you had to have a guesstimate, yeah, obviously you want Arsenal to win the league. Who do you think is the challenges? Like Arsenal first, like for me, I can't really predict it, but I would actually say Arsenal first. I think Liverpool second, and maybe City. They're the kind of teams. Like, who do you see in this race with us?
Yeah, look, I'll be real with you. Really quickly, I don't really know yet because of the summer transfer window. But as things stand right now,
Yeah.
which is all I can go by, Tottenham, I think, will be fighting for the sort of top half. I just don't think their squad's good enough. I think De Zerbi's better than the managers have had, though. Chelsea, one game a week, will be fighting for Champions League, but I don't think they'll be fighting for a title with the squad they've got. I think Manchester United, with the summer, with Carrick, and with more of a settled Man United finally in the 11, I think they could go for a title. I don't think they'll win it. Liverpool, I think with Iriola, I think it might be a bit soon this season, but next season I would worry about them for a title. Manchester City will be our
26, 27. 27,
Yeah.
28, yeah.
Yeah. And I think Manchester City will still be our closest rivals, and I think they'll come second as things stand. But the summer could change that with Arsenal, City, and the others. And the other team that people aren't talking about, because we're probably, hopefully, we'll talk about it, I'm sure, going to nick one of their best players, is Villa, who I think have got a good chance of having another decent season, Champions League and a trophy, which would be a good season for them. It would be a good season for them. If they won the FA Cup and come fourth, that's another brilliant season for Villa.
That's a very good season, respectfully.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. Sorry.
No, it's minor, man. I wanted to ask you as well, Dan, like kind of away from this year. Do you think, obviously, we've won the league, yeah? Is anyone an Arsenal legend for you? Now, I use the term legend subjectively. I'm not saying they're with Tony Adams and Henry and that. I can't lie. I think Rice is there. I think Saliba and Gabriel are there. I'd even throw Raya in there. Agenda, but I'd throw Saka in there. You'd probably say the whole team. They're the first to do it in the Emirates era. Are they the best Arsenal side I've seen win a league title? 100% not. But I wanted to see your point of view with that.
Yeah, I think it's hard to call any current player a legend. I think you have to look back to call someone a legend, if that makes sense. So you have to look at a Tony Adams and a Patrick Vieira and Henry and Bergkamp. And also they've got to achieve, and they've got to achieve. Now, for me, I don't think you call a player who's just won a Premier League a legend, but I think you might look back in history and say that Gabriel and Saliba are a massive part of that. Rice, likewise, David Raya, maybe Timber. I don't think any of the attacking players will go down as legends. I don't think any of the midfielders will go down as legends other than Declan Rice. So I think they'll be remembered. Whether they'll go down as legends, I don't know. But I also feel like their stories just start in DG. So I feel like
100%.
if I was to predict which one of them would become legends, it probably would be Declan Rice, Saliba, Gabriel, and David Raya. Because I'm looking at the scenario of what positions currently we have of those legends, and Patrick Vieira is one, Tony Adams is another. I think David Raya is up there with Seaman and Lehman as being one of the best goalkeepers we've had.
I
Saliba's
think he's
definitely
better
going to
than them,
be.
you know. I'll be honest.
Yeah, maybe. I think Tony Adams and Sol Campbell will always be better at Saliba and Gabriel, but in the next few years they can rival that. And I think Declan Rice is the closest thing we've had to Patrick Vieira since he left.
100%.
So I feel like we've got a
Best midfield
really
in the
good
Prem.
chance of having one of the best teams we've had in a long time. I do think we need to upgrade the attacking third, though.
We're gonna get onto that, man, and that's